for reasons which will become clear about halfway through this, because this is a presentation of two halves, I am so looking forward to this that I might actually collapse, okay? Just to set the level of expectation high, I had great trouble last night not giving away what was in it, because I've been trying to write this for weeks, and as normal, the last, I think, 5 years that I've been doing this, every single presentation has been finished at breakfast, which is not unusual for me or anyone else with narcolepsy. I think it just adds to the flavour, really, because I'm always remembering stuff that I should have put in. So the first half, because there are some people who've never been before and some very old familiar faces, is about some of the stuff that we've faced over the last 12 months, some of the good things we've done, some of the things we've not been able to do. And the second half is really what we'd like to do going forward, because one of the great things about the charity is that we're probably now in the best position we've ever been to be able to really make some differences, but on a much larger scale, and we have a much bigger platform, more access to people at senior levels in other charities. We managed to change policy legislation, so we're flying quite high at the moment, and I've been out, and Chris has been out raising money for a war chest that hopefully will let us do what we need to do. So let's have a quick look. So there's no denying it, we are small, right? Those are the numbers, 3 part-time and 1 volunteer. All the trustees are volunteers. Although there's a UK after it, you commonly find in this country that most charities have the words UK after them, but there's a dramatic difference between somewhere like Epilepsy UK or Parkinson's UK and Narcolepsy UK. Right? So we are tiny by comparison. You could call it niche if you wanted to use that word. Getting funding is extremely difficult, and if I was being completely honest, before Christmas last year, I was ready to fold everything because we looked like we wouldn't be here this year. But because I'm quite good at schmoozing and Chris writes a really good begging letter, we are here and we'll continue to be here for some time. So everything's done on a voluntary basis. We provide information, support. We organise this, which I think is probably everyone's favourite event of the year. We have the telephone helpline, and we've done a lot more, I guess, social media over the last few years. I remember when we had a following of something like 20-something on Facebook, and now it's in the hundreds, which is great. I've put the advocacy benefit bits on here in red because no matter what we do, this one is becoming a real issue for us. And you know, I do benefits appeals. I did one the other week. I've done people's personal PIP applications, and it is an exhausting process for one person to undertake to get someone through one of these things. And I don't quite know what we're going to do about it, but I think I know someone who I can go and talk to, who actually looks after PIP, and try and work out what the problem is. I think there's a huge lack of understanding in what narcolepsy is and isn't. I don't think it's necessarily people being obtuse and just refusing people benefits, but it's also regional, and I've seen whole regions, kind of people who have had their benefits decimated in one part of the country, and the same hasn't happened somewhere else. So there's something wrong somewhere. This is very small print, but it will go up afterwards. But these are some of the successful things we've done, and they're just some of the examples and some of the great examples that we've managed to pull off. So, you know, the supporting a child through the process of applying for Xyrem, actually winning that case in the High Court appeal with Peter Todd from HJA, who's here somewhere. Don't know where he is. Is he here? Ah, there he is, at the back. You know, the girl's parents are here, and you know, the brilliant thing about this is she got the medication. The court awarded the medication. She got 3 A stars in her A levels, and she's now at the University of Durham studying biomedical science. So, you know, the proof is in the pudding. What would have happened if we hadn't have intervened? Don't know. But it probably wouldn't have been anywhere near as a successful outcome as that. And as a result of getting that, I then worked on the NHS clinical commissioning policy, and we managed to get them to write a formal commissioning policy for paediatrics. The irony about that is that it's predicated on adult treatment, and there is no adult policy for sodium oxybate anywhere in the UK. So I still fight those on a case-by-case basis. But this year, we went to, Peter and I did what we called our dash to Devon one night. We arrived in a lovely place called Beer, if anyone knows it. There is no food in Beer after 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night. There is only nuts and crisps and beer. And we were starving by the time we got there. And the next day we went and we picked up a young lady, and we took her to her local trust. And we sat there and basically appealed for them to give her her medicine. During the time that we were leaving the car and getting up to the room, which was, I think, on the 2nd or 3rd floor, she collapsed 3 times. And there is a famous picture, I think, now of me in the car park looking kind of nonchalantly down at her while she's on the floor. It's not because I don't care, it's just she was out, you know, she had cataplexy, she was safe. But pictures speak 1,000 words. Since then, she's had her Xyrem, she's doing really well, and the local commissioning board have actually introduced a policy for Xyrem in their area. So slowly but surely, we are getting things done. Another intervention for a child at school, we intervened again with Peter and legally so that we could do some advocacy work to get someone into their local school. It seemed like the local school weren't willing to accept that the child should go to that school, which means you would have a very long journey, which was totally out of order. So again, we joined in with that one, provided some letters, wrote some evidence, and won the case. She's now at that school. And there's a lot of other things that you don't see we do. I'm now kind of so confident in the fact that we would win if we ended up going to court, then I kind of intimate that we might well go to court if people don't do what we think they should do. And then people can go and look at the website, they see that we won, and it becomes this virtuous circle of winning. I'm only going to touch on this one, the pandemics. I'm still doing work to support those cases. We went to see the EU Commissioner for Health for the 2nd time back in December. We're still pushing for him to do something, and we're hoping that we can get some form of future event actually at the EU where it can be debated and lessons learned. They still seem rather unwilling to accept that they made a faux pas. We get all the right words, but we don't necessarily see the action. So we'll keep on at that until we do actually see something happen. I've spent a lot of this year working on this one, and this is a bit of a tricky one because I want to know, we want to know everything that's going on with everybody. So the only way of doing that is to engage with clinicians and the pharmaceutical companies and try and be the first people out there who get told about clinical trials, get people access to those trials. And there's a fine line, I'm sure many of you appreciate, between being engaged with everybody and being in people's pockets. And that goes for everyone, not just the charity, but the clinicians and the pharmaceutical companies as well. So I tread a very fine line, and I'm really pleased that this year we've actually got people from 3 companies that have got some very interesting things that they can talk about to you. But please, no ribbing them about pricing, availability, or anything else, because these are not the people who can do anything about those decisions, okay? So the people that are here to talk to you about what their potential product is and how it works, and also quite usefully, I see a lot of people posting on Facebook at 3 o'clock in the morning, I think I've taken too much Xyrem, what should I do? Asking the Facebook community what they should do, which probably isn't the right way to go around it. So we have some people here from the UCB Cares helpline, and they are the people that you can ring and ask at any time. Okay, so that's a really useful thing to know about. So please take some time to talk to them downstairs. One of the other interesting things I did this year was I got invited along to the European Medicines Agency for they call it a procedure. I wasn't operated on. I actually sat in a panel, and a company came in and presented their potential new medication. I'm not allowed to talk about it because those are the rules, but it's really nice to be asked, and it's fantastic to be in there to tell people how they might do it better, you know. And again, it's getting in there right at the start. It's just a shame I can't talk about it, but if I do, I'll never be asked back to do another one. We also have a group here, one of the pharmaceutical companies, Avadel Flamel, who came to me. We had a conversation about their new clinical trial for a one-dose Xyrem product, or sodium oxybate product, I should say. And I rather selflessly decided that it would be a good idea if, rather than just talk to me, they could talk to all the patient groups in Europe, and we could do something together for a change. So we had, before the European Narcolepsy meeting in Mallorca, we had a meeting of everyone there, and subsequently, while I was out with some fine gentlemen here riding my bike around Edinburgh at night, the rest of them were talking about the European patient group in Paris, and were sending me photos, which was great. It's just what I needed. Motivation to keep me awake and cycling at night. British Sleep Society conference is next week. I am going. I tried to persuade the British Sleep Society to give me a nice cheap price, but I've found another way in because someone's decided they'll sponsor us, which is great. And memberships, you know, it's just really, really important that we work with other groups, and it takes a lot of time. A lot of my time is spent dealing with some of those people on the bottom. I'm a chair of the Neurological Alliance, which is great because I get to sit with, you know, some of the really big charities around the table, and I get to find out what's going on, and I get access to people that we wouldn't otherwise get access to. But it's pretty all-encompassing. So that's a bit about what we've done, and this is the fun bit, okay? Because what I want to talk about next is what we propose to do over the next 3 to 5 years. So this is the long game, and this is kind of predicated on all the work that we've done so far, and it's really, really important that I manage to convince you all to buy into this, because if you do, then we've got a chance to do something really great and actually fully articulate, you know, our rights in terms of medicine, in terms of benefits, in terms of education and work and everything else. So before I talk a little bit more about it, I'm really hoping you enjoy this. Right, I do like a bit of fun. You might ask, what was the purpose of that? Well, you know, how was I ever going to make the word charter stick in everybody's head? Well, I think I just cracked it, because that's going to be going round your heads for the next, I don't know, weeks, months, maybe. So this is the grand plan. So this is the future. You've seen we are small, but we're successful. So the plan is to build on that success, and what we intend to do is to create a charter, a narcolepsy charter, which isn't unusual. It's been done before. You know, we're not going to be able to create something as wonderful as the Magna Carta, but the principle is exactly the same. So, you know, a charter is, and it's up there, a written statement of the rights of people with narcolepsy and their carers. And I'm not going to write it. You know, the message very firmly, I think, today is you are. And we will have money that will allow us to do that. We will have money for consultation. We'll have money for planning. We'll have money for surveys, for really sound evidence-based policy making. But we can't do it without you. So what isn't in the charter, we're not doing over the next 3 to 5 years. And the charter, all it will do is simply pull everything that I've just been through together and a little bit more, and hopefully give us something really powerful. Children can take it into school, get it signed off. People can get their employers to get it signed off. I'll take it to Parliament, get someone to sign it off, hopefully. And I'll come on to some other good stuff in a sec. So, you know, that song, and I do love horrible histories because I've read them all, having children, and I love watching them. And the message is very clear. You know, this is going to be all about us articulating to other people what our rights are, not being told what we can and can't have just because it's expedient, whether that's cost-based, or it's too difficult, or it's too hard, or it's not how things are done, or people don't understand what it is that we've got. And what we want is we're going to need people, some of you good people out there, to go out and talk about it. And we can train you. We'll train you to talk about what the Charter is, and we'll go spread the word. And it will take time. You know, this isn't going to be instant. Like I said, it's 3 to 5 years, but we start today with the concept, and then we launch probably this time next year, after we've been through a massive round of consultations and surveys. So I think it's really exciting. It's absolutely the right time, because the way things are at the moment, it's getting very, very difficult to perform on an ad hoc basis, just dealing with problems everywhere. I'd rather solve the whole thing rather than keep dealing with small fires everywhere every day. So we start today. We'll be asking everybody to contribute. We'll make it nice and simple, some SurveyMonkey surveys that people can fill in online and that we can easily manipulate then. And we'll use some evidence-based data as well that I can get from other routes. And we have money. You know, this is the best bit. Chris has managed to secure some money from the big lottery. I've managed to get some unrestricted funding from some of the pharmaceutical companies, and if you understand how funding works, you'll understand that unrestricted funding is remarkably difficult to get hold of. So that's money that we can spend on whatever we want to spend it on. And some have said you can spend it on the Charter, and some have said you can have it unrestricted. It amounts to the same thing, because I'm not limited to having to spend it on a very small area in Norfolk or the Southwest or England or Wales or Scotland. So that's brilliant. And I think we're due some more money in, and as with most things, you know, success breeds success. So if people start to fund it, then we'll get more people funding. So the Charter, okay, really, really important, and that's what I want people to be thinking about as we go forward. I've also managed for the 27th of October next year, we have full access to the Royal Society of Medicine. They run a programme called Medicine and Me, where they have specialist subject talks, lectures. They then get filmed, and they remain on their website for anyone who's a member of the Royal Society to view, so GPs, clinicians, everyone else. I became a member because this is a medical charity and I've retired, so I managed to get a retired associate membership, even though I'm not medical. And then I went along for a dinner with Leah, who's down the front here, and as a result, managed to get hold of this. And this is absolutely brilliant, because you can look up their programme online. This will be free for patients and carers. And I'm hoping that some of the best clinicians that we've got in the world will come along and speak at this event, and also we'll get some patients speaking as well. So mark the date in your diaries, because it's already penciled in. It won't be our conference. We'll do that separately, but this is where I see us really kicking off the Charter in front of the world and having it all filmed if possible. And there it is. It's a lovely place. There's a 300-seater amphitheatre in there. It has its own green room. What aspiring clinician wouldn't want to perform on that stage? So, or indeed patient, if there's any of you who want to do that. I don't think it should be me. Okay, that's it. So thank you very much.